It was a statement win for the Florida Panthers in Tampa as they got their bodies back, and it resulted in a dominant win in Tampa Bay.
You're Locked On Panthers, your daily podcast on the Florida Panthers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into this Wednesday, April 23rd edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. I'm Armando Velez from the Hockey News. You can follow me on X and Blue Sky at Monoman12. Follow the show account on X and Instagram at LO_FLA Panthers and on Blue Sky at LOFLA Panthers. You can follow the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. If you're on the YouTube channel, make sure to press that like button down below and subscribe to the channel. And shout out to the everydayers who come back here and get your daily Florida Panthers fix. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. You can do that all on FanDuel. So great. So Panther fans, grateful to be back here once again on the show to discuss everything in the world of the Florida Panthers. And this is the part of the year that we've been waiting for. It felt like Christmas morning coming into the postseason, and especially the fact that the Panthers came in with healthy bodies. Matthew Tkachuk played in his first game since February 8th for the Florida Panthers. And what happens? 2 goals for him, 3 points on the night. After the Florida Panthers led 2-1 after the second period, they score 3 goals in the second and run away with the game, consistently getting in Andrei Vasilevskiy's kitchen. That was the theme of the night for the Panthers. And man, what a statement win for the Panthers. And here to break it all down with me on this edition of the show, it's Wednesday, which means it's Winans Wednesday. Jacob, my goodness, what a performance from the Panthers up and down. 4 different goal scorers, 2 of them getting 2 goals each. The other one, Nate Schmidt, one of them on the power play. And my goodness, what a way to take home ice advantage after a whole bunch of questions going into this series.
Yeah, it was about as close to perfection as we could hope for in that game one. You come into the series starting on the road, and the mission is just get one. You got to at least get the split and give yourself a good chance when you go back home for game 3, and hopefully go back home healthy and get Aaron Ekblad back. Panthers did way more than just take one game. Obviously, the series is 1-0. There's still another game on Thursday, and Tampa's veteran team, they're going to adjust. But the Panthers laid the hammer down, and they took a bite out of Tampa physically. They took a bite out of Tampa's play style. They frustrated Kucherov the entire night. Won the physical battle, won the mental battle, won the goaltending battle, and then ultimately won the battle on the scoreboard. It's long way from over. Tampa has the talent to stay in this series and come back, but that's about as good of a start as you could possibly hope for in a rivalry series. That was better than anyone could have expected, for sure.
Yeah, and then you think about for the Panthers and then just their physicality. I mean, Carter Verhaeghe laid a big hit on Erik Chernak towards the end of the first period. He left and then came back for the second period. Anthony Cirelli it goes to the locker room in the middle of the Panthers scoring those 3 goals for them. And really the the Lightning were really tested with their depth coming after all that happened. And then, like you said, frustrating Kucherov. There was one backdoor feed that he had early in the game. And then really, I mean, where Sergei Bobrovsky, a big stop on Brandon Hagel right before the Tampa Bay Lightning tied the game. And just the fact that they took away the backdoor pass, they didn't allow Tampa Bay to really get on their cycle. That was really the thing about just keeping them perimeter base and the lack of screens for the Bolts here. And really for the Panthers, I mean, I spoke about how they're Corsi Giants for this one, but not the case this time for the Panthers here at 5-on-5. I mean, the shot attempts were 50-31 in favor of the Lightning with 51 minutes of total 5-on-5 time. So just impressive by the Panthers. And like I said at the beginning, just getting an Andrei Vasilevskiy's kitchen. You think about the 2 first period goals by both the Sam Reinhart and Sam Bennett, where Mackie just lays one out there, and then just Sam Bennett redirects it, and then the other one, a shot from Kulikov that found Reinhart there, Stanley Cup champion, who got the clutch goal there for them. I mean, it was really just about the fact that the middle was just open for the Panthers really all night, and even on Nate Schmidt's power play goal. It was one where the eyes were taken away from Vasilevskiy. It wasn't a deflection, but Barkov took away the eyes from Vasi on the power play there. So it was really just about being in control. There wasn't the post whistle scuffles. When you look at 2 Stanley Cup champions, you're not gonna do something that will cost you and get you into the box. I mean, they've graduated so much from that Vegas series where, for example, Tkachuk got those 2 10-minute misconducts in one game. I mean, you think about just night and day and just how the approach of going into a playoff series. And I mean, you think about why the Panthers made the decisions that they did prior to game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And look what happens. They don't miss a beat.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing there is the discipline. The first game, or the first period, was hotly contested. There was a lot of chirping. There were a couple of dust ups in front of the bench, and then Tkachuk was clearly a marked man. And then what really stood out to me in that first period is Tkachuk gets called for a really, really just bad call. There's no other way to put it. It's a clean hit on Kucherov. He was definitely targeting him. He wanted to get a big piece of Kucherov on that hit, and we know why. But it was a clean hit, and he ends up in the box, and Tampa scores on that power play. The Panthers did not miss a beat at all. They responded pretty much immediately. There was a little bit of a strong push from Tampa, a couple minutes momentum. Panthers settle it down, and then there's another scrum in front of the bench. Brandon Hagel gets in Tkachuk's face. There's some pushing, some shoving. Jake Gensel was clearly rattled, yelling at somebody before the puck drops in the offensive zone. And then he gets lost on the play, and Sam Reinhart ends up right in front of the net, tips one in, and the Panthers take the lead
after an icing.
And that was kind of the entire summary of the game in just a few minutes stretch right there. Tampa was trying to bait the Panthers into some of the extracurriculars. They were trying to get under their skin. And the Panthers, just as they've done so often in the past 2 postseasons, remained disciplined, got under the Lightning's skin, and let their physical play between the whistles speak, and it results in a bunch of goals, which, not expecting Vasilevskiy to have a save percentage this poor for the rest of the series. This is probably the worst he's going to look as far as the goals against goes. But I thought it was flawless execution. The discipline was fantastic. We know that's how Tampa likes to beat people. They rack it up on the power play, but at 5-on-5, the Panthers should have the advantage, and they showed it tonight.
Yeah, to think that 6 goals on 16 shots for the Panthers, that's just something that is very unheard of, especially against a goaltender as high class as Andrei Vasilevskiy, and just being the top 2 or top 3, however you view goaltenders here in the NHL. And then for the Panthers, just like I said, this is a cliche statement, working as a 5-man unit, especially on the Schmidt goal where they had not 1, not 2, but 3 chances. I mean, they're consistently on the forecheck. Sam Bennett sets up Brad Marchand, Etu's crashing, and then Nate Schmidt with a head full of steam coming in, just ready to knock it in, and nobody picks him up. And then you think about just for the Panthers, just those high to low plays, and then just getting the percentages. The Nate Schmidt power play goal is the only goal of the night that was above the circle for the Panthers. So it just goes to show, life was made a lot easier whenever you were just consistently winning the battles. And for the Panthers, it was certainly that. And also how much they kind of gifted the Panthers that time. I mean, especially on that on that goal by the second goal by Matthew Tkachuk, where Barkov drives, the puck is separated, and then Matthew Tkachuk scores on a sharp angle where Vasi doesn't even see the puck there, where most times he would in the situation there. By the way, the Panthers now are 20-0 in the postseason when they lead after 40 minutes for them. So that's another stat for them, that the Panthers come into this when it comes to just holding on to leads in this time of year. But we're going to transition over to segment number 2, where we are going to discuss our 3 stars of the game and the moment where we knew the game was won. We're going to discuss that more next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. From 3-pointers, steals, assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. And once again, you can do that all on FanDuel.com. Segment 2 here on this Wednesday, April 23rd edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. Here with Jacob Winans on a Winans Wednesday, as the Florida Panthers defeat the Tampa Bay Lightning by a final score of 6-2 to take a 1-0 series lead for them and have stolen home ice advantage for them. So let's get right into our 3 stars of the game for the Panthers. Number 3, I'm going to go with Samson Reinhart, Stanley Cup champion hero for the Panthers. Multi-point game, one of the one of the 2 redirection goals on the night, and had a primary assist for the Panthers on the first Matthew Tkachuk goal. Number 2 star. I don't know how many times we're going to have this guy as one of our 3 stars of the game, but you got to put Nate Schmidt there, a defenseman with 2 goals on the night. Only the second Panther defenseman to have a multi-goal game for the Panthers in the postseason. The other one was Brandon Montour, and then one of them on the power play. It took until game 1 of the postseason for a defenseman to get a power play goal for the Panthers here. And then number 1 star made the return. Matthew Tkachuk is my number 1 star of the game and just the Panthers they just seemed so pumped to get him back, and their play truly showed. So your 3 stars of the game, my friend.
Yeah, this was a tough one. The number 1 and number 2 are easy, but the 3rd star could have gone to a lot of different guys.
Mm-hmm.
Bennett, Reinhart, Samoskevich, Erod even. I thought he was really impressive, dropping down to the 4th line and becoming a physical presence, and played a terrific 4th line grinding role, which he hasn't had to do a lot as a Panther, but he embraced that role. Could have gone to a lot of guys with this one, but my 3rd star I'm giving it to Seth Jones. I thought Seth Jones stepped up huge, led the team in ice time. We've had concerns about how the Panthers would defend Tampa without Aaron Ekblad these first 2 games. Seth Jones stepped up, was undoubtedly the Panthers' number 1 defenseman tonight. Took on the responsibility paired with Forsling when it went head-to-head with the point line, went head-to-head with the Gensel line, and played a terrific shutdown game. Puck-moving game. He was taking hits. He was moving the puck out of the zone. I thought he was excellent. My number 2 star, Nate Schmidt, definitely. The 2 goals, it definitely didn't have him penciled in as a multi-goal scorer at any point in this postseason. Yeah. 5 goals all season, and then gets 2 in the first game of the playoffs. Looks like another Bill Zito steal here as the playoffs get going. He came here because he saw an opportunity to win, and he's contributing to it. So Nate Schmidt's my number 2 star, and the number 1 star, of course, is Matthew Tkachuk. Back in after 2 months off, doesn't miss a beat, physical presence, getting under everybody's skin, getting booed every time he touches the puck, makes his presence felt when he hits Kucherov. Brendan Hagel's mad at him. The face washes, the sticks are up, and then he scores 2 goals and silences the building. Typical Matthew Tkachuk game right there.
Yeah, Matthew Tkachuk was the one near the benches that was getting into their face right on the icing that let right before the second goal. It was him in the middle of everything for the Panthers here. And then Matthew Tkachuk was also asked to just about how the patience level when it came to just his recovery, and then just talking about how he just wants to be out there, just wants to be a part of the team, but he wouldn't trade it for the world because of how much he fought for to play for his country, to put on that USA sweater. So no regrets for Matthew Tkachuk on his part, and just the fact that it was a long period of time that he got to at least be right, which is the most important thing when it comes to this part of the season. It's funny because going back to Nate Schmidt, he spoke about just the tone that was set in the room from the guys, that it doesn't have to come down from the management staff. It's the players that lead it the whole time, that it makes it so easy for new guys to fit in like a glove. And then I mean, I know we're not going to see games like these every single night, but then you never know who's going to be the next guy to step up big for the Panthers, as far as like the newcomers that have come in. But just the fact that what Nate Schmidt said about the guys just leading the charge, it creates so much of a ripple effect for multiple years. I know we're still focusing on the now when it comes to this big win, but I mean, it's the dividends are in this game alone.
Yeah, definitely. It's a culture, and I think Matthew Tkachuk really sets the tone where that culture is concerned. So getting him back in is huge just from that standpoint. But another thing that I loved about this game and just sort of the play style, they were able to manage the minutes of the top guys so well. And this time of year, that is absolutely crucial, because the playoffs, it's almost as if every minute you're on the ice is like 2 regular season minutes, the toll it takes on the body in the postseason, especially for Matthew Tkachuk going back from that kind of injury. Being able to manage the minutes was huge. I thought Paul Maurice deployed the lines just expertly. He went Barkov line, followed by Lundell line, and then the Tkachuk-Bennett line would come on as the third line on the ice in most situations. And then the ice time balance, they were able to rely on the fourth line quite a bit. Obviously, with the big lead, you're able to sort of shut down some of the top end guys, and with the special teams, it wasn't crazy special team minutes tonight, but balancing things out well, even with some special teams time, I thought was fantastic. It keeps everybody fresh, and you end game one with definitely the health advantage, because Tampa's got some major questions on their side health wise, and the Panthers look the healthiest they have the entire season. So that's a big advantage there. And you can only do that if your lines all play the same consistent style. You're not able to balance the minutes that way if there's a big drop off between lines. So to your point, it's a culture, it's a system that's player driven, and every single line gets on the ice and plays the exact same way. And you're only able to balance the ice time that way if every line does that.
Yeah, not a single forward played over 20 minutes. Sam Reinhart led the way with 19 minutes and 4 seconds, and also just key draws in their D zone for them. Barkov was 78% from the dot, Anton Lundell 55%, and also even though Nico Sturm's faceoff numbers were the best, there was this one moment that he had where he had a dive for the puck to clear the zone right when the Lightning were starting to get their cycle going, and there was this one big clear to get their a big change for the Panthers at the time when they were on the
Stenlund-esque.
Yes.
Very Kevin Stenlund right there.
No doubt. So let's get to the moment where we knew the game was won for the Panthers. I know with this Tampa Bay Lightning team, I know their depth was their play. It was a little bit of depleted roster at points in this game. I mentioned Chernak. I mentioned Anthony Cirelli leaving after the second period and not returning. But even at one point, Yanni Gourde left the ice and then came back as well for him. But the moment where I knew this game was won was when the Panthers scored 14 seconds into the power play after the failed coach's challenge by John Cooper. He said that's where and even Cooper after the game said that's, as a coach, that's where you got to eat it. So how the Panthers made quick work. And I'm going to pull a little bit of a Sesame Street here, Jacob. The number 3 for 3 on the power play, and then three goals on 3 consecutive shots in that little span that the Panthers just took the game over. And it was just the Panthers just putting their foot on their throats from there. And that's the moment where I'm just like, okay, they have a good sense of control for them, and 5 out winning. And here's another thing, I saw it on the television. They won 5 out of their last 6 games here at Emily, including the playoffs here. So it's a very comfortable environment that they find themselves here on the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, and that building used to be a house of horrors for the Panthers, and they struggled there for a long time. But they've kind of found their groove, they found their comfort, and they don't mind being the villains. And I think that's another thing with the new culture that's sort of rubbing off on them. They don't mind going into a hostile environment, and sometimes it's a benefit to start a series on the road, because we've seen them have so much success when they start with a game 1 win in a road building. My moment where the game was won was definitely the same thing, the coach's challenge and the quick power play goal right off the coach's challenge. John Cooper has struggled with some challenges in the past 2 playoffs against the Panthers. Last year the goaltender interference calls that didn't go Tampa's way, 2 of them, and then the very public complaints after the fact, and then tonight, not much of a complaint on his end. I thought that was a long shot of a challenge, but he and his staff obviously saw something there and decided to give it a shot. Didn't go their way. Panthers are fortunate it went our way. They don't always go that way, and we'll take it. But I just thought the Panthers took advantage of that situation to perfection. It was the perfect opportunity to grab complete and total control of the game, and they didn't waste it. And you can't miss those opportunities in a series like this. When you get a gift like that, you have to take advantage, and they did. And we talk about the number 3. I think the most important number 3 is that's how many wins they need to advance to the second round. So there we go.
I like that segue there. And for the Panthers, for the power play, going for that that conversion rate for them at 100%. I mean, it's unusual. We're not going to see that often. And usually we even went into the series saying, hey, Tampa Bay might have the special teams advantage, but it didn't prove so in game 1. But Paul Maurice has a little bit of a different thing to say about that when it comes to the theme of this game, what he thought about it. And we're also going to discuss in segment number 3 how we thought of Mackie Samoskevich's game as he played his first playoff game with the Florida Panthers. We're going to discuss that all next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. And you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts serving. 1 ounce serving that has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no-shells variety. It's a perfect grab-and-go snack for busy days, whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost. They're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Get snacking and cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Segment 3 here on this Wednesday, April 23rd edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day, as the Panthers come off a 6-2 win against the Tampa Bay Lightning in game 1 of the first round in this Battle of Florida Part 4 between the 2 teams. And once again, what a way to start it for the Panthers here. And also, I want to, Jacob, I want to take this time to just discuss Mackie Samoskevich's game. I thought he was hella impressive. That sauce pass to Sam Bennett, and I mean, and then he had he didn't have the assist on the power play goal, but he was a big part of why that goal happened. I mean, when it comes to just sticking to the play, especially as a guy who's not the biggest of body, hasn't necessarily matured. When you think about Mackie, the thing I think of is just ability to stick with it. Like that puck was about to be poked out, ripped out of his stick on the first one, and then he steals it right out of Ryan McDonagh and then just sauces it. And then the same thing with the power play goal for the Panthers there. It was just not and being calm and composed. And he spoke about his time at Michigan versus the Calder Cup, and then it's just like he realizes that there's going to be those ups and downs. He realizes that coming into this, it's like studying for a math test. That's the way he described it coming into this. So that's the thing about just how well prepared he was for a moment like this.
Yeah, that's the thing with Mackie. This season, there hasn't been a moment that seemed too big for him. His time at Michigan, he was a big game player. He was on a team that included some of the NHL's best young players, and he stepped up in big moments there, even more so than some of his teammates. I believe he played with Fantilli. I think he played with Luke Hughes. He played with Owen Power. He played with
Matty Beniers.
Matty Beniers was on his team there. I mean, he's played with some of the best young talents, and somehow in big moments, overtime games in the playoffs. I mean, it was Mackie who would come through with a big play, and I think he's starting to show that. He was excellent in Charlotte last season. The Panthers, we've talked about this for a long, long time. The Panthers haven't always done right by their prospects in developing them, and sometimes would rush them to the NHL or put them in positions when they got there that weren't the best for their development. The Panthers slow cooked Mackie's development, gave him the time he needed to come into the NHL and really contribute. Then when he gets there, they start him on the fourth line. Nothing was given. It was all earned. He had to work his way up the lineup over the course of the season. And then when injuries presented themselves, opportunity presented itself, and he was ready for it. And now you find him here in the playoffs, and you put him into a rivalry series, and he gets a primary assist to open the scoring in the playoffs on his second shift ever in the NHL playoffs.
Awesome.
It's just incredible. The dude has not shied away from anything. I think having him on a line with Sam Bennett so much this season has done wonders for his game. He's added some physicality that we didn't know that he could have. He forechecks like a madman. He's not afraid to hit anybody. He goes in there and throws his body at Victor Hedman, who's got probably 7 inches of height on him and who knows how many pounds. And then on that first goal, that's Ryan McDonagh. He's the NHL leader in plus minus, multiple time Stanley Cup champion, one of the best defensive defensemen of the last decade. And Mackie goes right at him, no fear, takes that puck and floats it to Sam Bennett. He's going to be a superstar in this league. I'm fully convinced that Mackie Samoskevich is going to be an all-star caliber player. He's going to have a hell of a career, but what a start to his playoff career. He's a valuable contributor, and he's definitely not out of place playing in the top 6.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the replay again. It was Eric Chernak who used
Eric Chernak. Yeah,
but he did use his edge work to get around Ryan McDonagh when it was coming around the
right
out of their zone. So just incredible skating that he. We don't talk about his skating enough. We talk about his hands. We talk about his shot, but that's another thing that's just so impressive about him on just getting that assist off for him. But I do also want to discuss before we do get out of here, just about how we judge this game. And this also gives an opportunity for us to really be a little level-headed when it comes to like a series like this, because we're not expecting 3 for 3 again on the power play. And I mean, like we mentioned earlier, the distribution of minutes, and the ability to just roll the bottom 6 the rest of the way, knowing that it was blown open, even though the Bolts did in fact get one back later on in the game, right before Nate Schmidt got the second one on the power play for him. But it was 43-28 in hits, but Maurice spoke about how it wasn't like grueling hits. I mean, it was just, but there was a lot of that puck separation for them, for the Panthers. And I thought that was one really impressive feat that the Panthers were still able to just not break out of their structure. They knew when to pressure at the right times as well. And that's really another thing that I thought that was really crucial for the Panthers here, especially on when it came to controlled breakouts for the Lightning, not allowing them once again to just get it out cleanly, and the Panthers still getting a stick and just support, and the support as well. The puck support, like I mentioned previewing this, was just key for the Panthers, and just how they were able to not make the big mistake in this one.
Yeah, definitely. One great example of that is the play where I think it was Gus Forsling is stuck in a sort of 2-on-1 situation. A puck gets flipped into the neutral zone, and he's trying to catch it like a center fielder and put it down and make a play. Just didn't have enough time, and he needed that support from a forward. And Jesper Boquist gets back, reads the play right away, gets a stick out to block the shot, and it goes out of play. And it was that kind of puck support that the Panthers had the entire night. I thought the third line, the Etu, Anton, and Marchand line did a fantastic job in puck support. I thought Marchand was able to drive play a lot, but defensively, I thought those three supported each other incredibly well, especially in the neutral zone. It was definitely noticeable. I think that was a big part of their game tonight, and it's going to have to be the rest of the series. Obviously, we're definitely not expecting 3 for 3 on the power play again. No shot we see Vasilevskiy get a sub 70 save percentage again. Those are probably once in a lifetime gifts that you get in this game that you're probably not going to get again. What concerns me for Tampa going forward is a little bit of their depth is now either injured or could miss time. They're already down Bjorkstrand. Mitchell Chafee didn't play tonight. Anthony Cirelli, we don't know his status going forward. Yanni Gourde was in and out of the game. Erik Charnak gets hurt. They've got some injury questions, and that's what makes me think the Panthers may have the upper hand more so than the 6-2 final score today. Mm-hmm. I think those are bigger stories than the final score, because at the end of the day, it's a 1-0 series lead. 2-1 or 6-2, it doesn't really matter. It's about what they have going forward into the next one. But you mentioned the hits, and I think the Panthers forecheck really did some damage on the Tampa defense tonight. Not necessarily what I would consider like an ice bath game where everyone's feeling the pain after that one and having to recover, like some of the games we've seen between the Panthers and Boston, where guys are just getting rocked the entire game. But it's the cumulative effect where guys are getting hit every single time they go to retrieve a puck and try to make a pass out of the zone, whether it's a big hit or just separating body from puck. It's the toll that those take as they add up over the course of a series. I think that Tampa's defense is not as built to last as the Panthers defense is right now. And I think you definitely noticed it. Guys were rushing their passes and looking over their shoulder as they were going to retrieve pucks. Charnak, Radish, Lilleberg, those are the type of guys that are taking all those big hits, and they're looking over their shoulder the second they touch the puck, waiting to see when the Panthers are going to be on their back.
Yeah, they know that they're going to come in for you. You somewhere in that statement, that last statement is a Duralast commercial when you said "built to last" for that one. But yeah, the Panthers just being so quick to get in whenever the puck is getting deep, and knowing that they are fast on their skates. So that was definitely a big key for the Panthers, and just consistently separating. And even if it wasn't a lot of chances going on net, it was just sticking to their game of just this theme of wearing them down. That's just what that was. Just it's just when it comes to just pace. I mean, M. Shinoda in Points of Authority says this line: "The pace is so fast, you just won't last." So that's another famous. That just really comes down to just the Panthers and how their style of play just makes other teams overthink. And that's just really the takeaways. And once again, another thing before we get out of here is just Paul Maurice says that there's not really a theme. The risk profile changes when it's 5-1. So, and he said that he's going to mostly look through the first 30 minutes because that was when it was the test. That was when the Panthers weren't. That was when Tampa Bay wasn't necessarily chasing plays. So that is something we are that the team is going to be looking at more. So that's going to do it. 6-2 win for the Panthers. Big win, a big tone setter. The Panthers will have media availability tomorrow at 11 a.m. and then the Panthers are going to be at it for an earlier puck drop on Tuesday. Jacob, it's 1:08 a.m. here in Tampa here. So thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, doing another post-game edition. Thankfully, we are starting off with a win to hopefully start this mission for the Panthers of repeating as Stanley Cup champions. So, my friend, thank you for joining me, and tell everybody where they can follow you.
Yep, you can follow me on X at Jacob Winans 8, and shout out to you, man. For those who don't know, he won't say it himself, but he is doing the commute to and from Orlando tonight, and then doing the same thing again on Thursday, and then going to and from Sunrise this weekend. So Armando is putting in the work for you guys. So shout out to you, man. As always, you're killing it with the playoff coverage. So lucky to be a part of it. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. This fan base, I want to give them the best coverage that we can here, and I'm very excited to hopefully do another long run, and thankful for you that you are also a part of it with alongside you, Nick, and everyone else who joins. Too many people to name here, but Jacob, thank you so much, and I'll see you next week, my friend.
Looking forward to it.
And if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast to be notified every single time the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast jumps into your podcast feed. Don't forget to also subscribe to the other shows on the Locked On NHL network, including Locked On NHL, Locked On Fantasy Hockey, Flip Livingstone and Steel Roden, and Locked On NHL Prospects. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. So I'm Armando Velez with Jacob Winans, and you've been listening to Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.